Once upon a time, in a cozy cottage deep in the forest, there lived 3 bears: Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. Papa Bear was big and strong with a deep, rumbly voice. Mama Bear was gentle and kind with a soft, sweet voice. And Baby Bear was small and playful with a high, cheerful voice. One beautiful morning, Mama Bear made a delicious breakfast of porridge for the family. She filled 3 bowls, a great big bowl for Papa Bear, a medium-sized bowl for Mama Bear, and a tiny little bowl for Baby Bear. "Breakfast is ready," called Mama Bear. The 3 bears sat down at the table, but when Papa Bear tasted his porridge, he frowned. "Oh my! This porridge is much too hot," he said in his great big voice. "Mine too," said Mama Bear in her medium-sized voice. "We should let it cool down a bit." "My tongue is burning," squeaked Baby Bear in his wee little voice. "I have an idea," said Papa Bear. "Why don't we take a walk in the forest while our porridge cools? The fresh morning air will be lovely." "What a wonderful idea," agreed Mama Bear. So the 3 bears left their cottage, leaving the door unlocked because, you see, this was a time when everyone in the forest was friendly and trusted each other. Off they went for their morning walk, paw in paw. Now, not far from the bear's cottage, there lived a little girl with beautiful golden curls that shone like sunshine. Everyone called her Goldilocks. Goldilocks was a curious girl, perhaps a little too curious sometimes. She loved to explore and discover new things. That very same morning, Goldilocks was wandering through the forest, picking wildflowers and chasing butterflies. She skipped along without paying attention to where she was going. Before long, she found herself in a part of the forest she had never seen before. And there, in a sunny clearing, she saw the most charming little cottage. "Oh, what a sweet little house," Goldilocks said to herself. "I wonder who lives here." She walked up to the door and knocked. Knock, knock, knock. No answer. She knocked again, a bit louder. Knock, knock, knock. Still no answer. Maybe nobody's home, thought Goldilocks. And because she was so curious, she turned the doorknob. The door swung open. Now Goldilocks knew she shouldn't go into someone else's house without being invited, but her curiosity got the better of her. "I'll just peek inside for a moment," she told herself, and she stepped through the door. The cottage was lovely and cozy inside. A warm fire crackled in the fireplace, and everything was neat and tidy. Then Goldilocks noticed something that made her tummy rumble. On the table sat 3 bowls of porridge, still steaming slightly. She had skipped breakfast that morning, and suddenly she felt very hungry. "Maybe just one little taste won't hurt," she thought. First, she tried the porridge from the great big bowl. "Ouch! This porridge is much too hot," she cried. So she tried the porridge from the medium-sized bowl. "Brr! This porridge is much too cold." Then she tried the porridge from the tiny little bowl. This porridge is just right," she thought. And because it tasted so delicious, she ate it all up, every last spoonful. Poor Baby Bear's breakfast was completely gone. After eating all that porridge, Goldilocks felt tired. She looked around the cozy cottage and saw 3 chairs by the fireplace. "Perhaps I'll just sit down and rest for a moment," she yawned. First, she tried to climb into the great big chair. "Oh my, this chair is much too hard," she complained, wiggling uncomfortably. So she tried the medium-sized chair. "This chair is much too soft," she said, sinking down into the cushions. Then she tried the tiny little chair. "Ah, this chair is just right," she said. She settled back happily, but Goldilocks was a bit too big for Baby Bear's little chair. Suddenly, crack, crash, the chair broke into pieces. Goldilocks tumbled onto the floor. "Hops," she said, looking at the broken chair. She knew she should leave now, but she felt so sleepy from all that porridge. She spotted a staircase and climbed upstairs, where she found a bedroom with 3 beds. "Maybe I'll just rest for a tiny minute," she yawned. First, she tried the great big bed. "Oh my, this bed is much too hard," she said, lying on Papa Bear's firm mattress. So she tried the medium-sized bed. This bed is much too soft," she complained, sinking deep into the Mama Bear's fluffy mattress. Then she tried the tiny little bed. This bed is just right," she murmured. And within moments, Goldilocks was fast asleep, her golden curls spread across Baby Bear's pillow. Meanwhile, the 3 bears had finished their walk and were returning home, ready to eat their nice, cool porridge. They opened a door and went inside. Papa Bear walked to the table and looked at his bowl. "Someone's been eating my porridge," said Papa Bear in his great big voice. "Someone's been eating my porridge too," said Mama Bear in her medium-sized voice. "And someone's been eating my porridge," cried Baby Bear in his wee little voice. "And they've be eaten it all up." Baby Bear's eyes filled with tears. He had been so looking forward to his breakfast. Then Papa Bear looked at his chair. "Someone's been sitting in my chair," he said in his great big voice. "Someone's been sitting in my chair too," said Mama Bear in her medium-sized voice. "And someone's been sitting in my chair," cried Baby Bear in his wee little voice. "And they've broken it all to pieces." Poor Baby Bear was very upset now. The 3 bears looked at each other, wondering who could have done this. "We should check upstairs," suggested Mama Bear quietly. The 3 bears carefully climbed the stairs to the bedroom. Papa Bear looked at his bed. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed," he said in his great big voice. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed too," said Mama Bear in her medium-sized voice. "And someone's been sleeping in my bed," squeaked Baby Bear in his wee little voice. "And look, she's still there." All 3 bears gathered around Baby Bear's bed and looked down at Goldilocks. At that moment, Goldilocks opened her eyes. She saw 3 bears staring at her. "Ah!" she screamed. Goldilocks jumped out of the bed so fast. She ran down the stairs, through the cottage, and out the door as fast as her legs could carry her. She ran and ran through the forest, not stopping until she reached her own home. Her heart was pounding. She had been so frightened, and now she felt very, very sorry for what she had done. Back at the cottage, the 3 bears looked at each other. "Well," said Papa Bear, "I hope that little girl learned an important lesson today." "Poor thing was probably very frightened," said Mama Bear kindly. "But she shouldn't have come into our house without permission." "I'm still hungry," said Baby Bear sadly, looking at his empty bowl. "And my chair is broken." "Don't worry, my little one," said Mama Bear, giving him a hug. "I'll make you more porridge, and Papa can fix your chair." And that's just what they did. Mama Bear made fresh, delicious porridge. Papa Bear fixed Baby Bear's chair, making it stronger than before. And soon, Baby Bear was smiling again. As for Goldilocks, she never went wandering into someone else's house again. She had learned a very important lesson that day. From then on, she always asked permission first, and she grew up to be a respectful and thoughtful young lady. The three bears lived happily in their cozy cottage, and they always remembered to lock their door when they went out for walks. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. Thank you, everyone. This is the bedtime story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, narrated by Niya Bedtime Studio. Subscribe to our channel for more lovely and wonderful bedtime stories. Good night!